Hi, my name is Kia Moses, and today we'll be analyzing Nobody Loses All the Time by E. Cummings. Now, the first thing to note about E. Cummings is his vernacular, the way words are spelt. As you can see, there's no capital letters, bar a few exceptions like Uncle Soul and the names of certain songs. But other than that, there's no punctuation, there's no capital letters. It is completely bare bones. Even at the name, E. Cummings, all lowercase. He legally had his name changed to that. Very strange man. Now, this poem is about the irony of the human existence and the human condition. It's about the absurdity of life. So we start by speaking about Soul, who is this failure. It's an uncle he had, and that he was the only thing people thought he could be good at was being a singer in a vaudeville performance. Vaudeville is like a circus act. This is the name of the song. Don't get tripped up by that. And he could sing it like hell itself. So he put all of his passion into it. This is the one thing that he genuinely cared about, was his musical ability, and he definitely had a sort of appreciation for music, which we'll see later on in the poem. Now, Soul indulged in that possibly most inexcusable of all, a highfalutin phrase. Now, highfalutin, that's not a word that we South Africans would most commonly use. It's actually an American slang for something that's posh, so to speak. It's a Southern American slang, and when he talks about a luxury, he's talking about farming, because farmers usually, they farm for themselves, they can eat for themselves, and farmers didn't have to go to war because they were farmers, they were providing. So he's saying that he had this luxury of not having to go to war because he was a farmer. And to wit is like i.e., it's an example. And subsistence farming is the indulgence, it's just for fun. However, just because he was a farmer doesn't mean that he was necessarily providing, because he was a subsistence farmer. For himself, he's not providing. It can be more of a hobby thing. Now it's saying his farm failed because the chickens ate the vegetables, and there's this comical sequence of this eating that and that eating that, and it's just saying that it always ends up in failures. The veggies are eaten by the chickens, which are killed by the skunks, and the skunks die. And in the same way that it's just failure after failure after failure ended in death, that's Soul's life. It's this constant stream of failure that ends in death. He imitated the skunks in a subtle manner by dying or by drowning himself in the water tank. So he's suicidal, he killed himself because of his failures. But somebody who'd given him a Victor Victorola. A Victor Victorola is a very fancy record player, so this ties in to his appreciation for music. So obviously this person noticed Uncle Soul's appreciation for music and indulged him on that by buying him this Victor Victorola. And furthermore, after buying him this record player, he's also funded the wedding, made it very extravagant. That he's tried to encourage his life, and now he's honoring his death. Auspicious means grand and above. So he had this amazing, splendiferous funeral, scrumptious, with tall boys in black gloves and flowers and everything. So it's very fancy. And we all cried like Missouri, went to Missouri River, a lot of tears, upset. And then lurched, the coffin lurched, it's very sudden, there was no warning, it just went almost by accident and almost mimicking his death, that being a suicide. There's no precursor leading up, there's no hospital beds, there's just, he drowned. And then we see, and down went my Uncle Soul and started a worm farm. So it goes, and down went my Uncle Soul, so he's slowly lowering down and started a worm farm. There's a break between my Uncle Saul and started a worm farm to show there's a break between Uncle Saul and the one thing that he was successful with is starting a worm farm, which is a joke. He died. Worm farm because the worms eat the corpse. He didn't actually start a worm farm, he just died. So it's saying the one thing that Uncle Saul could have been successful at is still separated from him by the space. That in the end he didn't lose, but he basically did. So it's a distance from his achievements, and the way that this works is it's an afterthought, it's a post-mortem victory. It makes it more comedic. And then I'm sure you've noticed that the way that the typography of the actual poem, it like in the first stanza it builds up explaining who Uncle Saul is, and then it just goes straight down in the second stanza, down word by word until it's just last word added to show that it just goes down into his failure. His failure goes down continuously, no? Then he goes across building up the funeral, which is the one grand thing that he did experience in his life. And then finally, as we see, as he's going down into his coffin, we see that the number of words in the line goes down from 4, 3, 2, 1, to mimicking the counting as he's being lowered down. It's a lot of very absurd elements in the poem, accentuated by the absurdist language, like I spoke upon. Splendiferous, scrumptious, highfalutin. E. Cummings had a very existential view on the world, shown in his language. And that's Nobody Loses All the Time by E. Cummings. Thank you. And until next time, I've been Kian Moses. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share with all your friends and family, and leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments.